The book. It is like the cheapest book ever. Mostly because it's super old. But I don't necessarily need a book to show you what I need to show you. This book is really to kind of give you a good bird's eye view of why operating systems, why they are, what they are, how they exist, where they came from, why. The biggest question is why they make the decisions they make, right? And then when you dig down to the very bottom of it all, you realize computers are actually pretty stupid. They really do not do anything other than what we, as the guys at Microsoft or Apple or the guys behind the Linux kernel, what we as a collective human, right, told it to do, and then us right in front of a screen, what we're clicking on and what we're doing, right? They are as smart as the operator. So if you're running into error after error after error after error, then it may not be you. It may be the guy that wrote the software. It may be the person that is running the server that's running the software. Somewhere down the line, some computer is confused, and it's a human's fault somewhere. So this kind of pulls the curtain back behind a little bit of that and shows you what they are, what they do, and why they are so dumb. Turns out it's our fault. There's your syllabus. That's it, right? If you need help, if you need information about the class, if you want to know what's going to happen, if you want to know what everything is worth, right? I know how this works. If you're in a week and life is just hitting you in the face over and over and over and over again, and then you sit there and you ask, how much is not doing this entire week's of work gonna hurt me? Right there. That's how you figure that out. I get it. Life happens. But I'm pretty open to figuring out how to get that submitted in anyway, maybe a week late, something like that. If you're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with you. If you get your work in, there's no way you're going to fail this class. But you have to actually do the work, and that's the deal. So anyway, quizzes, 30-year grade, labs, a 30-year grade, and exams, a third plus 1% of your grade. We've got a final and a midterm. So, yeah, don't miss those. If you want to know which ones you don't miss, it's those. We can probably negotiate the rest. But that's the idea. So just in case you want to get a refresh on that, do the same thing, right? Click on the link, find my name, click on that. It'll give you all the information that you need. This thing. So this is the schedule. The idea with this is that I'm going to open stuff up for you guys on Monday, but the day that we meet, and then I expect that to be submitted in by the following Sunday, midnight. So you have all day Sunday, right? Sunday at 11:59 p.m. is when those particular submissions will close. So from Monday 8 a.m. to Sunday 11:59 p.m. that's when those things will be open. When we can back and forth about things without there being any kind of penalty or anything like that. But typically, as long as you stay in contact with me, there won't be any penalties. But we'll have that conversation when we cross that bridge, right? But if you get yourself into the habit of submitting stuff a week late all the time, the penalties in the syllabus, I think it's 20 points per week. But stay in touch with me. Just have that conversation with me. There needs to be some kind of open line of conversation or open line of communication so that we can figure these things out. Because again, I get it. Life happens. There's going to be a week. I promise you, there will be at least 1 week sometime during this semester where you're just not feeling it. For whatever reason that might be. That might be medical, that might be family, that might be, you and your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever. That might be whatever it is. I get it. And that goes for work too. I mean, every job I've been at has given me at least a little bit of slack when it comes to stuff like that. So just let me know. You wouldn't ghost your boss. Don't do it to me. And if you don't do that, then we'll be golden. Whatever it is that we're running into, we'll figure it out. So anyhow, the news forum. Y'all don't post here. This is just for me, really. And you don't really even have to check the news forum itself. Well, I'm just letting you know that in this spot is where I will be giving any kind of announcement that is like class-wide announcement. Hey, I'm not going to be here on Thursday for lab, so don't plan on being here at 11 o'clock or something like that, right? If there needs to be an announcement like that, that's where it's going. So the reason you don't need to check it is because anything I post here goes directly to your MyMail account. So all that shenanigans to say, just keep an eye on your email, and any kind of major announcement I need to give you guys will show up there. If for some reason you think it's not showing up in your email, you can check this news forum just to see, just to double check. But overall, you don't need to worry about it too much. Just again, check your email, keep an open line on that. If you haven't yet, you can add your email. If you have the Gmail app on your phone, you can add your email to your phone. That way, any new email comes in, pings your phone, all that kind of good stuff. Right. Okay, I think we covered it all. Well, at least all of the intro stuff. Okay. So I've got these things hidden. If we get to the point where I won't do it this first week. I want you guys to have a chill first week. But if we get to the point where like we're going too slow and the majority of the class feels that way, I'll just start opening up 2 weeks at a time. But there's stuff, and just like Adrian's, this is last semester's video. So not a lot's changed. Well, you know what? I take that back. In the Windows world, things have changed. We'll get to that. But overall, not a lot has changed in these videos. So if you watch these videos, it'll be the same information for the most part. But if you wait until that Monday, I'll give you guys a fresh, crispy, new video with any kind of tweaks or changes that I've made to the course that'll be added to the new live video like we're doing right now. So in each of these, if you click on the date range, you're going to see a couple of different things. And this is what we're going to cover today. After all this intro stuff, this is what we're covering. So for the most part, actually here, I'll go ahead and show you guys what next week's going to look like. This week's a little weird because we don't have quizzes or anything, but next week is going to be a little different. Next week, you'll have notes, you'll have a couple of things to do, and that video, you won't have that video. So it's just these three things right here. So in any given week, except for this first one, but sort of, I've got notes for y'all. Things that you need to know. This is a lot of what's in the book, just kind of distilled down to just the points that you need, right? Not a PowerPoint guy, but this is just information that you can use. If you guys don't know the key combination of Control F, oh, you will learn this one. Control F is find in any document. So if you want to do Control F, see a little thing pop down? You type in network. You'll see every single time network shows up, right? So if I'm asking you a question in a quiz that has the word network in it, it's like, I need to know what a network operating system is. Control F, network, boom. There it is, right? Control F. Lesson number 1. Key combinations, Control F. Comprehension, go ahead. Command F. Ooh, yeah, Command F. That's right. I always forget about this operating system course because I cover all three. It's Control F for Windows and Linux, and it's Command F for Mac. So, anyhow, yeah. Comprehension checks are typically just going to be multiple choice quizzes. So, it's just to check that you've thumbed through the chapter. These chapters, I mean, if anybody has the book, it's not a thick book. It's actually a pretty small book. The chapters are probably 20 pages max, and there's a good chance that about half of that is pictures. So it's not a whole lot to thumb through. And to be quite honest with you, American textbooks have a theme. And that theme is, there's a chapter 1, blah, 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 right? And then there are bold headings. The secret to all of that is that underneath every bold heading, the first 2 paragraphs have everything that you need to know. Everything after that is fluff and extra and examples and pictures and stuff like that. So if you are you are out of time, but you need to get this chapter read. That is the bare minimum. Bold heading, first 2 paragraphs. Do that to every bold heading, and that will be the majority of what you need. Not encouraging you to do that, but if you're pressed for time, I got 10 minutes, I need to get through this chapter, that's a good way to do it. That's a good way to get the highlights and everything you need. Pair that up with my notes, and you'll be golden. In one of these multiple choice questions, outside of that, you might have one question that doesn't come from that set of information. All right. So back on topic. Oh, an application lab is a lab. You're going to see one of those right here. I kept that pretty short, sweet, simple, to the point, and overall pretty easy. I didn't want you guys to struggle too much this first week. All right. So there are a couple of things that you're going to need to do for this particular lab. We're going to do the lab and the notes at the same time because they intermingle. And you'll see that that's how all of my classes are. The notes are directly applicable to the lab. It's a good reference. So I've mentioned to you guys multiple times that we do this whole inception computer in a computer thing, right? This is just so that the laptop that you've got, right? It's got Windows or it's got Mac on it. Or if you're crazy, it's got Linux on it too, right? I need you guys to not end up in a situation where you are deleting or configuring or doing wild things on that installation of Windows, Mac, or Linux. That needs to be stable throughout the whole semester. For 4 months at a time, don't mess with it. Otherwise, I have students come up to me and tell me things like, hey, I accidentally deleted my entire Windows partition. What do I do? I'm like, well, we rebuild and we redo anything you were working on. So not always, but most of the time, if you do something like that, those files are probably unrecoverable. Not guaranteed. There are softwares that we can use to recover files, but just so you know, don't mess with the OS that's on your laptop now. Leave that thing alone. This is what VirtualBox is for. We run VirtualBox so that we can run like little burner operating systems inside. That way, if you delete System 32, which is not a good idea no matter what anybody on the internet says, I promise someone will say it to you. Delete System 32, it'll speed up your computer. Never. But if you decide to go do that, or because you heard me say it and you're like, well, I just wonder what would happen. In a virtual machine, go do it. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have to reinstall Windows in a virtual machine, but your laptop will be squeaky clean and good to go. If you are ever curious about Windows is telling me this software is unsafe or something like that, but you still want to see what it is, run it in a virtual machine. And if that happens to be the worst virus you've ever encountered in your entire life, you just you power off that VM, delete the whole thing, and you're still golden. That virus, without a lot of work, does not escape that VM. So it'll be nice and isolated inside of there. So, VirtualBox. I'm going to show you guys how this works. So in this lab, all you're doing is installing VirtualBox. But there's more to it. It seems so simple, I know. But there's a little bit more to it. I'm not grading you on that aspect. I'm just grading you on whether or not you get it installed. So I've got a link right here. You click on that. It'll take you to the VirtualBox website. This guy. If you click on that, you get a choice right here. If you are running Windows, click on Windows. If you are running OS 10, I always like to call that OS X because it's literally an X, but that's a Roman numeral. So OS 10, you click on that. If you're running Linux, you click on that. I don't think anybody in here is running Linux except for me. So it's going to be one of these two. And the majority are going to be right here. But you're right there, OS 10. You will get a DMG and double click it, drag it in, you're golden. You actually don't have to go through, I'm going to do some BIOS settings and UEFI, changing whatever. Mac already has that turned on by default. Debatable whether that's secure or not, but you need it on anyway, so you're good, you're golden. However, for those of y'all on Windows, you'll click here, it'll download, and Yeah, because I'm a master of preparation. I don't have it downloaded, so we're going to let that download. And we're going to go through the installation. I want you guys to see, I want you guys to have all the information for this first week. I don't want you guys to have any questions about how to get through the lab or anything like that. All right, but while that's downloading, I wanted to talk about some of this. So in Mac, this is already enabled, so you don't have to worry about this on a Mac. But, that's about right. But for those of us on Windows, this is a feature that is disabled in the BIOS by default. So a few things. We're getting a crash course in operating system and hardware right now. So if you have an older laptop, probably older than 2014, 2015, somewhere in that vicinity, if it's older than that, you may have a standard BIOS, basic input-output system. This is basically the brain behind the brain. So you have a CPU, right? It's Intel, it's AMD, it's something, right? This is your workhorse. This is the thing that actually does video recording and web browsing and all of the major stuff that you interact with on a day-to-day. That's your main CPU or main processor. Underneath all that, you need a small chip that takes care of the hardware inside of your laptop or desktop or phone. Even your phone has one of these. And it's basically just to know what hardware you have installed and how to connect that up to the CPU. Once you have booted, once you see the Windows logo, the BIOS is done. It just takes a back seat, doesn't really do a whole lot of anything, and then the motherboard, CPU, and all the other hardware take over from that point. But we can change things in the BIOS. If you have a newer laptop past 2015, then it's almost guaranteed the name has changed, but the functionality has not. The new way to call this thing is the UEFI, the Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. So BIOS, Basic Input-Output System, UEFI, Unified Extensible Framework, what did I say? Firmware Interface. Whatever. See, that's what happens when you just go off memory, right? I don't have notes for my notes, so it makes it kind of hard sometimes when I draw a blank. But anyway, either or, they do the same thing. They drop you into the same basic interface, and it's features. If your laptop has the wrong date and time, it's probably wrong in the UEFI, and we need to go change that. If for some reason you turn on your laptop and it says failed, no bootable medium found, or something like that, right? It might just be that the UEFI or the BIOS doesn't know about the new hard disk that you just installed and then put Windows on, right? You need to go tell it. So UEFI, BIOS. The way that you get into this, does anybody have a laptop that came from prior to 2015? Except for the Mac. The Mac may be right on that verge of 2015. Everybody's got a newer-ish laptop, right? Last 4 years or so? Okay. So I'm probably just talking to a group of people that have UEFI only. That makes it easier but harder in ways, right? I've been doing this for over 10 years, so I've seen a lot of BIOS, so a lot of my conventions and thought processes come from that. Yeah, I will probably call something by the wrong name here pretty quickly. But anyway, the way that you want to get into this, you can do this through Windows. Before, when you just had BIOS, when it was just the old legacy system, you had to reboot the machine in like your manufacturer. If that was HP, you probably had to hit escape. If it's Lenovo, you probably have to hit enter. If it's Dell, it's probably F10, right? It was a different button for everybody, and you had a very small window to press that button, right? When you see the Dell or Lenovo screen, but before you see Windows, that's when you got to press that button. If you miss it, sorry, you got to reboot, do it again, over and over until you catch it. And what was funny is that a lot of Dells and Lenovos, they've changed that button over the years. So if you thought it was enter, but it's actually F2, guess what? Reboot, try it. I hope you can figure that out eventually. A lot of times it shows up on the screen, what you need to press. But modern computers are fast enough that that screen blinks up and goes away pretty quickly. So you may not catch that button or whatever you need to press. But now that we have the UEFI, The operating system, so Windows or Mac or Linux, can easily talk to that chip now. And in Windows, you have this button, Change Advanced Startup Options. So I think this applies to pretty much everybody. But you'll open up your Start menu, and you can type in UEFI. And it'll bring that button up. By the way, lesson 2. When you open up the Start menu, whether you click on it or you hit the Windows key, you don't have to actually click down there to start searching. I watch people do this all the time, and I die inside every time. You just start typing. If you want to search for UEFI or Firefox, you just start typing Firefox. If you want to type in UEFI, just start typing it in, right? Smack that Windows key first, and then just start typing. You don't got to do anything else. The cursor is already down there. So UEFI, and get into these advanced startup options. This is a really cool option, but do not press it. This is a way to reinstall Windows from scratch and delete all your files. So, ignore that one. This one, advanced startup. Startup from a device, blah, 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 blah. When you hit restart now, it's going to reboot you. So save what you're working on. It will close that stuff. It's going to restart your machine and drop you into a window that looks like this. And it will ask you, choose an option. You do not want to continue on to Windows 10. That's basically just rebooting your machine. Kind of a waste. Or turn off your PC. Those are not it. Right? And a lot of times if you don't know what you're looking for, but you come up to options like this, right? A triple fork in the road and you don't know what to do. The best thing you can do for yourself, obviously if I'm not available or something like that, or you just don't have enough time, process of elimination. I know a lot of times it should seem intuitive, and I don't know. I think most of us have paid the Microsoft tax. When you buy a laptop, it's always $100 more expensive because you paid for the Microsoft software that's on there, right? You don't know it, but you did. And that $100 should go toward user ease and ease of use and accessibility and all that stuff. Well, sometimes it doesn't. So process of elimination. Get rid of the stuff that you know it's not, and then you whittle it down to the stuff that it might be. So troubleshoot. Click on troubleshoot. And that'll take you to this. As I mentioned before, you don't want to reset this PC, so you must want advanced options. That'll take you here. Now here's the deal. This one is not necessarily as intuitive as the previous ones, and process of elimination may not work very well here. Startup settings is what you're going to want. And actually, no, I'll take that back. Sorry. This one. UEFI firmware settings. So when you find that acronym, that's what you want to click on. UEFI firmware settings. Yes, sir. No, you can do this before or after. It does not matter. There is there's no order to do this in necessarily. But VirtualBox will not work whether you install it or not until you do this. So UEFI firmware settings, click on that. Your computer will reboot again and drop you into those firmware settings that we need to see. Now here's the thing. At this point, I can't tell you what it looks like. That totally depends on the manufacturer of your laptop. If it's a Dell, it might say VTX or VTD. It might say virtualization. It might say virtualization extensions. It might say SVM. I don't know. So the secret to this is before you leave today, do this process. That way I can help put eyes on it and guide you to the right spot. It might be super easy and it might just say virtualization and you might just need to flip that on to yes and you're done. But if it's got a funky acronym or if it's named something different or there's 7 bajillion options that you need to sort through to get there, let me help you with that. That's the whole point of today. So, these notes are available to you. You can just walk your way through all this, picture by picture, and look for one of these options. If these options do not exist in your BIOS, we might be in trouble. But I think I emailed most of you guys to a recommended laptop, and any laptop that I recommended will definitely have these extensions. If you don't, it's probably not that you don't. It's just that it's called something weird, and I can help you find it. Long story short, do it today before you leave, and then install VirtualBox as well. So that's the second half of this. And just to reiterate, VirtualBox doesn't work unless you do this. These extensions have to be on. Until then, VirtualBox will try to work, but it works in 32-bit mode only. But we use 64-bit operating systems in this class, which means that before you ever get to anything that's usable, it's going to yell at you, and it's going to tell you no. So you got to do this first. Before or after you install VirtualBox, doesn't matter. But to actually get work done, those extensions have to be on. So anyway, back on the VirtualBox topic. After you click on Windows Host or OS 10 hosts and downloaded that thing, install it. In Mac, it's pretty simple. It'll just take you through. You just drag it into the applications folder, and it's pretty much done. If it's not that process, then we can take a look at it here in just a minute. But since I have a Mac next to me, I might as well double check on that as well. So, all right. So in Windows, after it's downloaded, double click on the thing. And I will not recommend this for pretty much any other installer. But everybody has this habit of double clicking on software and just next. What did any of those pages say? I don't know. What did I agree to? No idea. Right? You don't know if you've given away your firstborn son. Who knows? It probably said it in the EULA. You didn't read it. So that's the thing, right? Like, I don't necessarily need you to read all that legalese. Not that particular page in particular, but things like this. This particular page here. Now, to preface this, the defaults are okay. It's probably the only time in the entire time that you're going to be here that I will be okay with you just clicking next, yes, next, right? Every other time I'll need you to do it, but I'm going to go through it with you anyway. So VirtualBox, it has all the features of an actual real computer. It's just virtualized in software. It fakes it, essentially. That's what VirtualBox is doing. It's faking a computer inside of Windows or inside of Mac OS. So these things, obviously you want the VirtualBox application itself. But underneath that, you see other features. USB support. If you want to be able to plug in a flash drive to your computer and feed that to the VM, you want this feature. So leave it on. Don't touch it. It's fine. VirtualBox networking. If you want your Windows or Linux or Mac OS VM to be able to hit the internet, you need networking. So leave that alone too. There's some other features. Bridged and host-only networking. These are really fancy features that we will use in later semesters, so you might as well leave them installed. Bridged is a way to let a VM touch the real actual network that you're physically plugged into. So by default, it's isolated away. It's in its own little network, doesn't talk to anything else outside except for directly to the internet. Not your computer, not the computer sitting next to you, nothing else. It's just a straight shot to the internet. Host-only networking is a way for us to create, is a way for you to put your computer in the same network as one of your VMs. That way you can share files easily and do some really funky stuff. Python support is more for scripting stuff. We don't really do a whole lot with that in VirtualBox. But overall, just leave these options all enabled the way that they are when you encounter them. So again, it's okay to just press next here. Now here, this is totally up to you. The only thing that I really need you guys to have is this one. Register file associations. There will be times when I will give you a pre-configured VM. It's already got all the users and passwords and everything else already configured on it. I'm going to give that to you. And if you have that checkbox checked right here, all you got to do is double click on it. And VirtualBox will vacuum that up and make it available to you to where all you got to do is double click that thing and it starts up. The version of Windows that I put on there, the users that are there, the software that's installed, everything pre-configured. You just got to double click. If you don't check that checkbox, you got to import it manually, which is not hard, but you know, you'll be the only guy sitting there having to click on import appliance and go through the next to that while everybody else double clicked it next to you. So anyway, if you're messing with this, for the love of God, leave that one checked. This is probably the only other, the start menu entries is probably the only other one that you really, really need. But there's nothing wrong with leaving it all checked. Quick launch is for Windows 7. So Windows 7 and prior to that, which after today, Windows 7 is no longer supported. So we'll talk about that a little bit before we leave. Anyhow, leave all that, hit next, hit yes. Okay, now here's where I think I might break my WebEx. But there's nobody connected anyway, so that's fine. So for y'all, if you're doing this and like you're on a Skype call, that Skype call will probably drop for a second or two while it's doing its network configuration. It's actually installing virtual network cards so that the VMs that we create can talk to the internet and all that. So, and I know a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is probably doing this, but that's all right. These words will make sense. If you go back and watch this video after about week 4 or week 5, you'll be like, yeah, okay. That's what he meant by that. Oh, okay. That's what he meant. And I get that. I try to put that carrot on a stick all the time. Just so that you're in a situation where there's always something next. There's always something that you don't know. So that if you have spare time, you can look it up. Or if you have a spare few minutes or whatever, come and talk to me about it. That's something that I really want to encourage you guys to do, by the way. If you've got time, just come up there, have a seat with me, talk with me about whatever it is that's troubling you, whether it's class stuff or not class stuff, whatever. Or if you just want to create a home lab at home. I love that kind of thing. So anyway, after the install, there you are. This is optional, whatever. Leave it checked, hit finished, and it'll start it up for you automatically. Ta-da! You get a cute penguin and a cute toolbox. Hooray. That's probably the only cuteness you're going to get out of this software. So from here, that's it. That was your lab. So take a screenshot of this thing. Yeah, we have to be using a Mac keyboard, so I don't have the button. But most of y'all on your laptops have a button that says PRNT SCR or something similar to that. It might actually say the whole thing, print screen, right? You can do that. Press that button. Go to Google Drive like you did for Adrian's class, and then just paste it in there. And it will drop a picture of whatever you took straight into Google Drive. Or there's this thing. So if you just search for snip, it'll come up with this. In Mac, Command-Shift-4? I have it written down, hang on. Yeah, Command-Shift-4. You'll get a little crosshair, and then you can just drag it around what you want to take a screenshot of. In this case, I want the whole desktop, so start from the top left, scroll all the way to the bottom right, give me that whole screenshot. For the rest of us, you'll want this guy. So, snipping tool, snip, search for that. And it'll let you do a new snip. But a lot of times you want to change this mode before you do it. In this case, in the lab, I'm asking you, let me see, here we go. Take a screenshot of the installation. Be sure to get the entire desktop. What I mean by that is everything you see right there, I want it. All of it. So, and this is more just to kind of get a personality, right? I mean, if you spend a lot of time on your computer, you tend to change that default background back there. And a lot of times I'll get what you're into by that, right? And that starts a whole conversation about, have you seen The Witcher yet? Have you seen The Witcher yet? It's really good. So go watch it. But anyway, yeah, in your downtime, it's a good show to watch. But either way, it kind of gives me a peek into your personality, all that kind of fun stuff. So, you know, if you're willing, do that. But you can do this, hit mode, full screen snip. There it is. The whole thing, right? Then you'll save it. How many of you guys actually handled a real floppy disk? Y'all see that? It's still a floppy disk. Me too. I had the, anybody mess with the 5 1/4s, the floppy disks, the ones that flip-flop around? No? Oh, wow, okay. Anyway, hit the not 5 1/4-inch floppy disk, and then just name your picture. VirtualBox, desktop. It doesn't matter. I don't have a naming scheme for you guys. I tend to just like dashes. It won't get you any extra credit, so don't. And save it. Now, if you noticed, when you do that, it usually just drops you into pictures, right? See up here? So when you want that, when you want to go find that so you can go submit it, hit the little folder down here. And, well, it'll be in recent files, but you can also come over here and hit pictures. In Mac, that's just going to be, when you open up Finder, pictures on the left, that's where it'll be.
I think I said slept in a screenshot.
All right. If you can't find it, or if you have issues or anything like that, feel free to let me know. We'll make it work. And actually, I keep saying that. I keep saying on Mac, whatever, but I actually have a Mac that I can check this on real quick. So Command-Shift-4, give me a thing, take a screenshot. See if I can go there. Oh, no, it puts it on your desktop. Puts it on your desktop. So when you do that, it puts it straight on your desktop, so you can use that when you're going to submit. Look in your desktop, and that's where it'll be. All right, so now that I've got this picture, right, saved in my pictures folder, I can come over here. And the same way that I can't submit to my own thing. How funny. But what y'all will do is just add submission, browse for the file, go to your pictures folder, find this thing. Double click it, upload, and save. That'll get you done. And that's all I need from you. That is the whole thing. So what y'all saw me do up here, that's your lab. Enjoy that free 100. It's a nice start to a semester that I won't say that it'll be hard or anything like that, but, you know, it gives you that little boost of confidence right at the very beginning, right? It's nice to have 100 at the beginning. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. Now, next week, we're going to get into dealing with an installation of Windows. The following week, we'll get into the installation of Linux. So you're going to get both of those. Now, legally speaking, I cannot let you install through the course an installation of Mac OS X. Right? Big wink. So, after class. Anyhow, we're going to go through what we can go through. And anything else outside of that, I've got this guy. So I can show you what Mac looks like. I can go through the steps. You don't find a lot of Macs in the enterprise. And when I say enterprise, I mean wherever it is you find yourself working, you tend to not find a lot of Macs. Pretty much everything is Windows. So that's where our focus is going to be. And I mentioned it a little while ago. Windows 7 today is the death day for Windows 7. Once the clock strikes 11:59 p.m. California time, what is that? Pacific time. It's over. You no longer should be on Windows 7. So, think real hard. Do you know a computer that has Windows 7 on it? That computer, is it on that?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's on my sister's laptop, and I cried every time I had to go on the internet.
Oh, okay. Well, see, now you actually have real IT-based ammo to be like, please, for the love of God, get that off of there. Or get a new laptop or do something, right? That's the deal, right? So today is the end of life of Windows 7. That does not mean that Windows 7 is going to stop working. That doesn't mean that it's going to start rebooting on you or failing on you or not running the software that you want it to run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Windows 7 is still alive, but Microsoft, will no longer issue security patches for it. So what that means is to you, back in 2017, there was an attack on the National Health Service in the UK, right? Their hospital system, right? There was ransomware. We've heard that word by now, right? Just about every single municipality or county or city in Texas has probably been hit by one of these. Ransomware is basically software that you unwittingly install on your computer, and it will go through every single file on your computer and encrypt it. And then it says, now you can't get that, whatever it is, that really, really important Word doc that you had going on or whatever. It's encrypted now, and you don't have the key. To get the key, you owe me 15 Bitcoin or whatever, whatever they ask payment. Well, it used to be like Western Union back in the day, right, when they were trying to ransom you. Now it's Bitcoin. So internet money, great. So you owe them however much money you owe them, and then hopefully, I mean, you hope and pray that when you pay the ransom, they actually make good on their end of the deal, right? They don't have to, because they're criminals in the first place, right? So hopefully they give you the key back. You run that key. You're getting this from hackers in the first place. You're just running random software that people give you. Surely that won't end well, or surely that'll end great, right? Anyway, so you run it, and it should decrypt all your files, and you have access to that, right? Well, that's what happens on a single machine. What happens when it happens to the NHS in the UK, and it smacks multiple hospitals and multiple databases that contain tons and tons of private personal information? Bad things happen. Yeah. So for 3 days straight, there were 3 or 4 separate hospitals in the UK that literally could not intake patients. Could not do it. So as far as they were concerned, it was triage and move them to the next hospital. One that didn't get hit by the WannaCry ransomware, right? And it was dubbed WannaCry because the IT group was crying. Yeah, that's why. And yes, all of the ransomware and all of the software and all of the viruses, things like that, they all have dumb names like that. Hey, it's just the nature of it now. They all get like web pages and commercials and all kinds of crazy stuff now. The times have changed, man. Like when the I love you bug was going around, it was basically like CBS News that was telling you about it, but like a month later. Now, the day they hit, it's front page news, it has a website, it has a spokesperson, it has about 17 different security researchers telling you about this, right? Times have changed. It is crazy now. But overall, that sounds really tinfoil hatty, I know, but it kind of is. That's what you don't get protected from anymore on Windows 7. That's what it means to not have security support. So, from this day moving forward, if there is an exploit for Windows 7, like WannaCry or anything else, you will not be protected from it. So if you acquire one of these viruses, cool. That's all you get. That's what you get. You can't take it to anybody. You can't take it to anybody certified to work on this. But the guy that you know down the street will probably be able to help you. But, Windows 7's dead. He'll probably recommend you move to Windows 10 or something else. Buy a Mac. Buy a new laptop. I don't know if he's got weird hair. Move to Linux, right? So be aware. If you know anybody on Windows 7, nicely encourage them to upgrade somehow, some way to Windows 10. It'll help, I promise. It's gonna annoy you because Windows 10 updates are different now. They just kind of like throw it at you. Have y'all noticed that? Where it's like, hey, updates. Do you wanna? Just kidding. I'm doing it for you. That's how it works. That's usually only if you like defer it for weeks and weeks and weeks. It forces it on you eventually, but that's for the best. We might not like it, but it is what it is. Okay, so if you haven't noticed by now, I end up off track a lot, but I usually keep it pretty relevant. So it's not, you're not just sitting here listening to me drone on about The Witcher. It's not bad, but usually about 5 seconds long. Everything is pretty relevant overall. So that's it. That's everything that you need. I don't have a show no show or anything like that. I obviously see you guys here. So that's good enough for me. But really what I work off of, have you clicked on my class? So a little bit of PHP and database magic. I can tell what you do. This is not a threat, by the way. I know what you guys are clicking on, what you're doing when you log in, when you log out, all that kind of fun stuff, right? I know how you're accessing the course. If you have accessed the course, you are considered here. That's the list that I'm going off of. You're obviously here, but if you've touched my course, I know that you've done that, and I'll count you as being present today if you've already done that. So, if you've done that, you're good. You're here. You're present. I always forget something, so I'm trying to remember if I'm forgetting anything. But if I do forget something, I'll reiterate this stuff to you guys on Thursday. If it's super duper important, I'll record it. But usually the Thursday things are just back and forth conversations a lot of times, or me running around helping everybody stay on track and things like that. So I won't typically record that stuff. But if it's like a continuation of a lecture, like we didn't finish it on Monday and I'm going to finish it on Thursday, I will record that stuff. So most of the time there won't be, but if it's a two-parter, I will. All right. So I've been yakking at you guys for about an hour now, so I'll stop.